What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Yankees Avenue Show on the Yankees Avenue YouTube channel. As usual, I'm Patrick Hennessy. That's Dan Rourke. Dan, how we doing today?
Doing all right, man. Friday morning, weekend coming up. I would have liked the Yankees to have swept the Tigers, but they didn't. I will say, fuotball season is here, and I have a slight complaint because it got off to what I thought was a good start last night. I bet on the Lions money line, little $10 bet to win 22, but then beat the Chiefs. They ended up beating the Chiefs. I see this morning, so I'm like, oh, word, I won some money. Turns out I accidentally did a parlay of also the over on the game, so I won no money. Football season is off to a horrible start, but besides that, I'm doing good, man. Ready for the a nice fall. I want the weather to cool down. I'll say that. It's a little too hot for September.
I think it is cooling down now. I think it was just those 2 days that are really hot, and now it's just like we're getting into fall weather.
How you
But
doing?
yeah, bro, life is good. Can't complain. I've converted myself into a morning person. You remember last episode you were telling me about like your Starbucks membership? I signed up for my own little membership. And I know in the past I was like roasting people who drink coffee. I'm a coffee guy now. Black iced coffee in the morning, bro. It makes me a morning person. And Panera Bread, okay, they have an unlimited Sip Club membership. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
$12 a month. You get unlimited coffee, unlimited drinks, and the first 2 months are free. It is the biggest cheat
Really?
code in life. Because, bro, you go to Starbucks, a small coffee is like $5 every morning.
Yeah.
You make your
Yeah.
money
My
back in
pumpkin cream
3
cold was like
days.
$6.50. I thought when you were drinking that this morning, that little black liquid, I
You thought
thought
it
that
was
was
soda?
iced tea, or it was soda. Yeah, but then I quickly ruled it out because I know you don't drink soda. I thought maybe it was
Yeah.
iced tea. You're really going the coffee like that's good, and you'll understand. And bro, enjoy the black now. You'll start to transition. You get
No, I
yourself like a
won't.
salted
Nope.
caramel oat milk latte,
Nope.
coffee. At the very least, even with that, you understand now. Get you out of bed in the morning. It's something to look
Yeah.
forward to.
Yeah. No, it's
So
nice.
I'm happy you
Uh,
joined the club, bro. And you're a
you know,
morning person now.
You know what else gets me out of bed in the morning?
This show twice a
This
week.
show and Jason Dominguez. We'll talk about it.
Yes.
Before we get into that, though, want to give a huge shout out. Actually,
That's
beginning
like a
isn't a
little
huge shout
shout
out.
out, bro. A huge shout out.
A huge shout out to Foco. We love you guys so much. We'll give them a little bit bigger of a shout out later on in the episode. But use
I
code
got the
Yankees
robe on
Avenue.
today, though. It's been a minute.
It looks cozy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
When are you
no,
going to
looks
put
nice.
yours back on? Next week?
Um, yeah. When I first saw you put it on, I was like, maybe I'll put mine on, but nah, I'm okay.
We got to switch it up to keep it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get in topic number one. The Yankees took another series versus the Detroit Tigers. But they failed to sweep, bro. And I think that's the most disappointing part of the whole thing because we're at the stage of the game here where if the Yankees want to make the playoffs, they gotta win every single game to
Pretty
keep that
much.
dream alive. And now they enter the weekend 7 games behind the Blue Jays for the last wild card spot. Um, I know we've been saying pretty consistently on the show, probably like for a month now, maybe longer, that there's zero chance the Yankees make the playoffs. And statistically, it it looks pretty bad as well. But we still have that feeling like deep down inside that, bro, it's only 7 games. We got what? I don't know, 20 games left, possibly. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little
Right
bit
around
less.
that, yeah.
But it's definitely a very steep hill to climb, to say the least. It's basically like climbing Everest with one leg. So as of right now, do you think the Yankees have any shot of making the playoffs? Or did the failure to sweep the Detroit Tigers kind of be like, all right, like maybe this isn't something that's even realistically possible?
Yeah, man. I hate to be the party pooper because I was so ready to come on here. And I was gung ho. I was posting my 2011 TBS postseason commercial on Twitter, which for those who know, every year, that's what gets me really hyped for the playoffs. I posted it today, which meant I was starting to buy in a little bit. Losing the series finale to Detroit, and we'll talk about the man responsible for that, Carlos Rodon, next topic. Devastating in terms of this. And also losing, we played him again last week, losing that series finale as well. Those two losses really, really stink because now we're back at an even 500 with which that in its own right is nice, going from what were we 62 and 68 a week ago to now being 70 and 70. That's cool. As for the playoffs, we would have to go probably 19 and 3 the rest of the way. And that's assuming 89 wins get you in, which we don't even know if that's the case. The Blue Jays, the team we're chasing, would probably have to hope they play around 500 baseball the rest of the way. Same with Texas, who's plummeting like crazy. Only saving grace we do have left is, and 7 games technically is doable. We do have 6 games left with the Blue Jays. So if you were to play well around that series, along with, I don't want to say you have to sweep, but you'd have to take 5 out of 6. So bottom line is, it's a pipe dream. It's possible. If we won the last game against the Tigers, I would actually come on here and be like, "Yo, there's a legit shot." We're back to it's pipe dream now, I think, which sucks. I was so ready to come on here and be like, "Yo, let's fucking go." But I don't think it's in the cards this year, man. Not ruled out just yet. Yeah, 7 games is nicer than it was a week ago where it was like 11. We've made up some ground, but
Yeah.
Jeez, sucks.
I'm I'm in the boat where if they would have swept the Tigers, I would have been all on board the train, bro. I mean,
Same.
especially coming off a sweep of the Astros and then you come home, you sweep the Tigers, like you would have been feeling really good, especially if all the players look good as well, right? We'll talk about Rodon and how he kind of ruined everyone's parade.
Mm.
But I think now it's where I'm in such a weird situation because I know deep down inside the Yankees aren't making the playoffs. However, on the flip side, I'm like, yo, if they just lose out now and the kids perform well, I'm happier with that than if they like just perform like mediocrity. I don't know what the word is for
I
the rest of the
disagree there.
season, bro. I know like you disagree and it's still fun to see them win games at the end of the day, but just the fact that yesterday we saw Aaron Judge be like, "Oh, Aaron Boone is like I want him back next season and whatever." Like first of all, Judge, you're the captain of the Yankees. We love you. But I don't think he should have any say in who the manager should be. And also, like, we know Judge, even if he thinks that there should be a managerial change, he'd never like come out and say it. So I need change, bro. I need something to change with the New York Yankees. And performing just to standards for the rest of the season, or even exceeding standards for the rest of the season, it does nothing. And going back to the whole conversation we had last episode, it does more harm than good for the Yankees to just finish the season over 500. Like at this point, I don't want to say bottom out, but just finish like maybe like 2 games below 500, and I'm okay.
I'm good. I think the damage is already done. Like they waved the white flag, they got the kids up here. I think the most change we're looking at this offseason is going to be the talk of, we heard the analytics overhaul that Hal Steinbrenner, I guess, mentioned a couple weeks ago. I think that is definitely still in play. I've switched up course a little bit in the fact, and this I think is actually probably a good thing because he just would have been a scapegoat. I think Boone is coming back. And I don't think that would honestly change this. If that's the case, like whatever the situation is here with Boone, I think it's cemented throughout the rest of the year, whether we win out or whether we like bottom out. I think, especially with the way his demeanor is lately, and you can go two ways with this. You could go, I think it's on the side of this dude knows his job's secure. All of a sudden, it looked like he's very calm and like cool with the place he's in. You could also look at that like he knows what's coming. He knows he's canned. I guess I could understand that argument as well. But yeah, dude, I think whatever change is going to happen has happened, and that's the kids being brought up, plus maybe some structure changes this offseason with like the analytics and stuff. Cashman's back. I think Boone's going to be back. I think just all you can root for now is outside the long pipe dream of the playoffs. Just enjoy it. It's exciting baseball again still, even if we don't make it. It's such a
No,
better brand of baseball that September, what we thought we were going to watch, we're getting a better September now than originally expected. But I'm bothered with the playoffs. I'm not going to lie. Like I was real back game. Like call me a sucker, but I was ready to go.
well,
Like you said, if we
that's
took that, what?
no, I mean that's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm not saying I was going to expect it, but if we took, I was ready to win this series or take the series sweep against Detroit, and then we'd only be 6 games out. When 6 games out with 6 games left to play against a team we're chasing, with not a terrible September schedule, it would have been doable. And not saying 7 games out changes that entirely, but it makes it so much harder, especially the Tigers are a team you got to beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would have been doable if the Yankees just would have performed like superheroes. You know what I mean? And it's also like the Yankees don't even control their own destiny really at this point. Like, even if they win out, I mean, it would be an uphill climb because you would need the teams in front of you to lose. But
Well, if we won
like,
out, we're in, but that's just not going to
I
happen.
know, but you know what I mean. But
Yes.
I want to like transition this back to the Boone conversation real quick, just because I'm looking at it and the Cashman thing, like I could understand why his job is just permanently secure, just because of the whole how he's basically family to Hal, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I would love for someone to explain to me what Aaron Boone has proved since 2018. Because now we're looking at what 6 seasons as Yankee manager. What
Yeah.
success has there been? What what has he proved? What has he done to prove that he is a good manager and that he deserves to be the manager of the New York Yankees? Because I look at it from our perspective, right? Me and you, we have jobs, right?
We
If
do.
if both of us were doing our job for 6 years and there was no culmination of success there, right? Like every single season where we look at like our job report, it's just kind of just like we're meeting standards, we're not exceeding anything. How are we still so secure after 6 years?
I mean, I hear you're saying, but I think it's very similar to how like coaches are in college in a way where the coach is the whole, or just the football period, like the coach is the whole program. And not saying Boone obviously is the number one guy, that's Cashman, but they're so in lockstep that you fire Boone, you're going to bring in somebody, assuming Cashman stays around, that has the exact same mindset. So I don't think it's I think it's such an organizational problem that unless you get rid of Cashman, anything else you do would just be a scapegoat move. So I'm not saying I want to see Boone come back, but it's like, if you do get rid of him, is that what's fixing this team? No, of course not. Not like a chance in the world. It's other
No,
stuff that
but
surrounds that move.
I think that you need some sort of like accountability to be like, yo, what's happened over this last 6 years is not okay. And as the manager, whether it's your fault or not, you take responsibility, bro. It's the same thing as like the president. Like if something's going wrong over his term, and maybe it might not necessarily be his fault, he's taking the blame, bro. Like you're the leader of whatever's
That's
going
fair.
on.
No, that's
So
fair.
so at some point, if the Yankees aren't winning a World Series, whether it's because of Cashman's roster construction, whether it's players not performing, Aaron Boone is the leader of the team. So at some point, bro, you haven't even made it to the World Series in 6 years. Taking on a team that was one game away, you're a failure. Your tenure has been a failure, but somehow you're still re-upping every single
Yeah,
season.
I
It's
mean, that'd
weird.
be good for our pound of flesh, I'd say. Like, we'd be pumped. Okay, there's, and it's same with, when you get rid of a player. We talked about it when Hicks was DFA'd. It was also more just sending a message, yo, this level of
Sure.
performance is not okay. But I still wouldn't get all that excited because I wouldn't think, okay, without Boone, even you get the best manager of all time, like, okay, bring in Casey Stengel or bring in who's the
No,
best
but it
manager in
shows they
baseball right now.
care.
It's okay, yeah, sure. But still, like right now, I'm so concerned with just fixing this team and making them the best possible for 2024. I don't think firing Boone does that. Now, what you're saying, like, it makes sense to me. It does make sense that somebody has to be accountable. And as for Judge talking up Boone, I think this is one of the few areas where, yeah, you would kind of just override what Judge is saying. Like, he should have say he is a captain, but we know he loves Boone and they're good friends. That shouldn't really mean anything about this
But I
decision. So
think it
I agree with
will.
you there. I don't think, like I said, I think until Cashman goes, like whoever the manager isn't going to make a difference. Like, we need a total structure and philosophy change with this team. I'd like to think that in part is coming, but it's just really a bummer because Cashman isn't going anywhere, and knowing that's the case, it ultimately feels like no matter what else happens around him, we're running it back in some way.
No, I know, but that's also crazy too. Like the fact that we know Cashman isn't going anywhere because we're looking at when I mentioned Boone has been a failure for 6 years, Cashman's been a failure for much long, bro. We're looking at what 14 years of failure now with Brian Cashman. So the fact that we view him as just being unlimitedly secure is wild.
So I won't even go back that far with Cashman, though I know what you mean. You can look at the whole tenure and say it's been overrated and incredibly disappointing. For me, everything with Cashman was fine up until this core. He set it up so perfectly, and how he's brutally mishandled it since, that's what the fireable offense is. Because other than that, I mean, you enter 2017 having, only won the one World Series outside the 90s dynasty. But besides that, you kept this team in contention while rebuilding at the time. It was a really damn good farm. You had this team set up and ready to go. He failed at, taking that to the next level. He has another chance now with this core. So assuming he stays around, we'll see what he does. But yeah, man, like it's such a bummer. Like it's hard to get overly optimistic about a new season, which I do every year, no matter what. What?
No, no, no.
Oh, I lost my train of thought now. Yeah,
No,
just
you
knowing he's
said
going back.
it's difficult to get excited about next season, knowing that like we're basically running back everything
Yeah,
beside.
to the
No,
extent
bro.
that I want to get excited. Like, obviously, I'm gonna get excited, but like, how hopeful can you really be when you know the man who's in charge of all the problems is coming back?
Well, that's why going back to the original question, like whether or not the Yankees have any shot at making the playoffs, I think since we kind of know they're not making the playoffs, we're better off just not doing good to end the season because then I
Yeah,
think
but
that's
that won't
our
make a
only
difference, I
chance.
don't think. But
Yeah, but I think if there was any possibility of it happening, you'd have to finish below 500, and that's what I want. So
for Boone, yes. For Boone, maybe there's a chance of that. Cashman,
I
no.
guess,
Cashman's not going anywhere, bro. It's what it is. I'll
bro,
eat
I
my words
hope
if
we
I'm
can
wrong,
look
but I'll be
back at
pumped
this.
to.
I
Uh,
hope that we could look back at this and be like, oh, there was a chance because he's gone now. Just saying.
I'll bet, I'm not going to be upset to be having that conversation. I assure you.
Before we get into topic number two, I was reading the comments on last episode,
Mm.
and okay, the top comment from our previous episode was someone put in quotes, bro, and then a little dash, camouflaged mustache man.
Get the hell out. I didn't see that comment.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a top comment. So thank you for that.
What, saying you
That's
say bro too much?
I
What is
guess,
this,
yeah.
episode like 3 of the Yanks Avenue Show? I don't feel like you say bro all that much anymore. That was a problem.
No.
We like had to address it off
Do you see
camera.
how bright I'm getting?
Yo, what is happening? Are you going to heaven? Did you just pass away?
Is everything okay?
Shit, bro. That's
Good
like,
Lord.
damn.
Okay. Well,
I don't think you
yeah.
say bro too much. And I think your
Thank you, bro.
mustache looks great.
Thank you, bro.
We did have a big issue like the first few episodes of the Yanks Avenue Show where all we would say was just bro, bro, bro. I think
Bro,
we've calmed it
dude,
down since. Well,
Dan,
there you go
dude,
again.
bro. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Somebody on the Talking Yanks pregame show the other day said I'm obsessed with saying word.
Oh, you do say word a lot, especially over a text message.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's more so like me saying okay. It's not. What are you doing? Are you trying to
I
fix up
don't,
your?
bro. I'm trying to fix the light because
It
there's
looks better now.
whatever. All right, let's get in topic number two. Let's talk about a waste of life. Carlos Rodon. That's mean.
I can't even roast you, dude, because I remember I posted that about Brian Cashman a month ago, and everybody was tweaking on me. I was like a worthless waste of a human being, which I know is
Really?
excessive, but yeah,
I don't.
people.
I don't think it's not excessive. Just because it's like, unless like you're really dumb and just stupid, you understand we're referring to them in like a baseball sense, right? Like,
That might be the smartest thing you ever said. Exactly. It's
think
a preconceived notion. Like, yo, we're not fucking monkeys here. I don't actually wish death upon this person. I'm just incredibly fucking frustrated with them.
Yeah, but speaking of being incredibly frustrated, Carlos Rodon gave up 7 earned runs against the Tigers on Thursday night. He's now 2-5 this season with a 6.6 ERA in 10 starts, bro. We're not even looking at a small sample size, 2 or 3 starts, whatever. Also, that whole thing, that the whole excuse that was used in the beginning, where people were like, "Oh, like this is basically a spring training." We're way past that at this point. Is that
Mm-hmm.
Yankee water? What is that?
Actually, yeah, it is. It's Poland Spring. You haven't seen these?
No,
They're around a lot. Like I feel like a majority of times I go get a water. It's a Poland Spring. If I want this size, I can get it in a Yankee logo.
I've
At
never
least in
seen that
Hoboken.
before. Shout out.
It's good water.
Um, But yeah, I guess now I'm kind of looking at Carlos Rodon, and I think he's absolutely useless. I think that he's a pathetic human being, and I don't want to see his wife going on Twitter anymore and like making excuses for him. Dude,
Which
Carlos
she didn't
Rodon, like,
last night. She did not do last
no,
night.
no, no, she didn't. But I mean, bro, this stems back for a while now. Like I'm even looking back to the blowing kisses in LA. We were looking at it and I was like, yo, I want to see him rebound after this. And he did. He had a couple starts where he looked pretty decent. But for the most part this season, bro, he's been a complete and utter disaster, a pathetic human being, a pathetic pitcher. And the fact that he's under a contract for the next 5 years now at this point, I am so worried that this is going to end so poorly. It started off poorly, but I think like it might trend in even worse direction moving forward.
Yeah, man. I mean, until further notice, he's kind of in bust territory. Like, I know we're only in year one, but it's a matter of now, can the Yankees fix this guy? Because the big glaring issue is you look at the home runs, man. Last year, he had 12 homers in 170 innings pitched. 12 homers in 170 innings all of last year. This year, 12 homers in just 42 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's been a totally different pitcher. And it seems like they talked about this a little bit on the broadcast last night, but he's only throwing 2 pitches. He's throwing the fastball, he's throwing the slider, which in itself is already kind of an issue, especially as a starting pitcher. Like, what do we always talk about? What makes a like the transition from Michael King from pen to the starter could work because he has 4+ pitches, right? He's not a traditional reliever or he only has 2. Normally, you can't be a starting pitcher with just 2 pitches. So he already has that going against him, and the fact that the pitches just aren't looking good. Fastball is 95, 96. The slider doesn't have great bite. His command is all over the place, and everything he pitches really gets barreled up like crazy. So, I mean, he's a total complete mess right now. And the extreme care for how bad he's doing, which I'll give him, he does, show a lot. That only gets you so far. Now that we're 10 starts in, hearing fuck screamed after every hard hit and hearing
No,
like
every
just
single
screaming
pitch,
off the top
bro.
of his lungs, like it doesn't really do anything for me. And you can be as accountable as hell as you want in the post game, which you should be. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'd rather you be accountable than not. But in the end, bro, like we need the guy we paid 160 mil for. And right now, we're getting not near that. We're getting probably the worst. Like he's playing with Severino right now for the worst starting pitcher in baseball. Now, Sevy's
I
been,
think that's
pitching a
fair.
little bit better, so I don't want to roast him. But in terms of, this isn't just big time. Like Randy Johnson, like when he was struggling with the Yankees, it was like a high 4, like a 5 ERA, right? We're way past that now, bro. Like we're talking, what was that ERA you mentioned? 6.6?
6.6, yeah.
Like, damn, man. How does this happen? I don't know. I mean, I do know because everything I just said, like the 2 pitch thing, the pitches just aren't looking good. The Yankees had to go to work on this offseason. This could end up being like Jacoby Ellsbury type worst contract of all time.
Yeah, yeah, and especially because the whole thing with Carlos Rodon is like we know the dude's going to get injured a lot. And we knew coming into it that he had an injury past.
Mm,
But what we counted on was that when he was going to be on the field, he was going to be productive.
right.
And now the fact that we dealt with the injury problems this season, he missed half the year, bro, with whether it was his little back issue or it doesn't hurt, it just doesn't feel right, whatever the hell that was, missed half the season. And then when you show up, you're one of the worst pitchers in baseball. It's a serious problem. I would say it has potential to be worse than Jacoby Ellsbury, dude, because let's not forget, for part of the time until like the later days of the contract, like when Ellsbury was on the field, he was kind of productive. He wasn't the
He
worst
was
player in baseball.
decent. Yeah, and that
Yeah,
contract was also a lot of Yankee fans knew this at the time. it wasn't even Ellsbury's fault in a way because it's like, yo, why the fuck did they give this guy 21
Exactly.
million? And he was in a way productive for the first few years, still a terrible deal. But yeah, man, I think you're perfectly right on the head with Rodon. You didn't think if there was somebody who didn't want Carlos Rodon, it was either A, because of the injuries, or B, because you wanted to allocate the money towards addressing the lineup. And I think that's something a lot that you said
Yeah.
when they signed him. But even the biggest hater of Rodon didn't think this is why it would go bad. They thought, yeah, it'd be the injuries or just, you didn't address the offense. He's just been brutal. He's been absolutely brutal. And the fact that we're only in year one is really concerning. We're going into next year, probably with him still as our number two. A very underrated topic conversation is what the Yankees do to address their starting rotation next year. A lot of people just talk about the lineup and, you have the kids coming up, which is, of course, something to celebrate. And I want them to, maybe go out and get a Cody Bellinger because you still have to address, a hole or two in the offense. But our rotation is not in great shape, not whatsoever, man. And I'll say this, kind of backtracking a little bit and, new information, new opinion. Michael King is starting to interest me a little bit. Now that he's crossed the 5-inning mark and knowing how poor the rotation is going into next year, it's something you actually do want to consider. Maybe you do go into spring, especially Cone was talking about. You could also convert or kind of have maybe Randy Vasquez or Johnny Brito try to be what Mike King was in the pen, and then you start King.
Well, that's what we said.
Maybe seeing Randy in Houston was kind of changed my mind a little bit. He looked fucking nasty, and Brito's been good too. But bottom line is the rotation's a problem next year, and Rodon's a big part of that because he's still going to be at the front of it.
Yeah, and also just regarding Rodon, just his lack of success. The fastball, bro. We were looking at a guy who, coming into the season, one of the best fastballs in Major League Baseball.
Dude, the stat I always named was no pitcher had more swings and misses the last 2 years entering the season than Carlos Rodon.
But that's
literally the best fastball in baseball.
And now this season, it's basically batting practice. So what is that? What is that a result of? Because is the velocity might be down like a couple miles per hour, but the fact that kind of turns him into a batting practice pitcher is kind of insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, even with only throwing 2 pitches, you'd think the fastball wouldn't be getting hit as hard as it is. Maybe that plays a part in it, but Blake just has to go to work. He's going to have to go to, I don't know, drive line in the offseason or something. Because once again, it's not just like we have the home run conversation. People talk about it in comparison to Garrett Cole last year because that was his big issue. But what Garrett Cole having inflated home run numbers turned him from like a 2.9 ERA to a 3.6 ERA. So it's still a very, very big difference in the fact that we're getting a fucking near 7 ERA pitcher right now. So it's almost like you got to do a total overhaul on this guy, which is concerning. You don't want to do because he was one of the best pitchers in baseball the last 2 seasons. But I don't know, man. It's going to be.
Yeah, and I think to kind of like culminate this conversation, I think that if Yankee fans wanted to start giving Carlos Rodon like the Josh Donaldson treatment, the Aaron Hicks treatment, I think it's completely fair. Because I tweeted out yesterday when Rodon was walking off the mound, it's like, yo, sad, pathetic human being. And someone was like, isn't this a little harsh? No, I genuinely don't think so. And maybe it's just coming from
you always go a little harsh with it. You get very personal.
No, but that's because I put it in my shoes, right? If I was Carlos Rodon and I was that bad and I was performing that poorly, I would be so okay with people saying whatever they want about me because I deserve it. Like if someone
I don't think he doesn't feel that way.
But that's what I'm saying. I would hope that he understands that whatever people want to call him, whatever they want to say to him, is so well deserved at this point. It's not even funny. So I think like there's certain situations where I think it calls for a player to deserve treatment like this. And I think if anyone deserves it right now, it's Carlos Rodon. I think Carlos Rodon deserves it more than Severino, to be honest with you.
Well, Sevy's been picking up better. I think sad, pathetic human being is a little bit much. I know it's.
I don't think.
I know the feeling. Like I want. That's something I want to tweet, and I probably shouldn't be the person to speak on this. It's a little much. It's a little much, but
why?
Because like it's the person.
Is he not?
I would reserve that for. Let's see who's a good. I mean, I don't want to always go back to the Carl Pavano thing, but when a player wants to show up, wants to do well, and is clearly affected by how bad he's doing, that's at least enough for me to give him like 10% of respect, which is not that much at all. It just gets me
past that pathetic, like pathetic. 0?
Yes, it gets me just past that point where I won't call him that. I'll criticize him on everything else. Bottom line is to wrap this up. Carlos Rodon has been an incredible disappointment, and right now he's in bust territory. Until further notice, Carlos Rodon is a bust, a major bust, one of the biggest in Yankee history.
Sad and pathetic. That's I think.
That's also not to mention because he was picking up a little bit. Like
he was.
I mean, not that he was doing great, but he pitched decent against Tampa Bay. I don't think he made it through 5 against Houston, but he started striking people out. And then now you face an offense like the Tigers, especially when we're rolling. That's a start you should at least be 5 innings, 2 runs. Even if you were, I say with Rodon, I said this about Sevy a lot, but with Rodon too, it's like even if you were decent, man, we'd be in a better spot. Like, what if you just had a 4.5 ERA? We'd probably have extra 2 or 3 wins, and then looking at the wild card race, maybe if we have 2 extra wins right now, we're only 5 out.
Yeah,
So
and I think Michael K brought it up last night. I think Carlos Rodon has like one of the lowest whiff rates in all of Major League
which is
Baseball.
like the total opposite of who he is
Yeah,
as a pitcher. He strikes out
crazy.
people like fucking crazy.
It's crazy, Dan. I think it is absolutely blasphemous what we're witnessing.
Well, I won't say blasphemous, but you know what else is fucking crazy?
You,
This beautiful,
you're yes,
sexy,
no, do
gorgeous,
it, do it,
silky
give the
robe
little
that
Foco
I'm
lead
gonna
off.
strip right now because no, just kidding. But shout out Foco, code Yankees Avenue, 15% off. You guys can get yourself one of these. You can also get a fucking hat, which I'm not gonna put on. I did just shower, but if I did have it on, it'd look pretty damn good because it's a nice straw hat or a bobblehead. Then and now they got this collection, which they have some Aaron Judge, Roger Maris, Garrett Cole, Whitey Ford, Pat's kissing his Aaron or sniffing it real like it's smelling salts or cocaine for that matter. They got a lot of stuff at Foco. And what do we always say this time of year? It is football season. So if you want to get decked out, whether it's just the Yankees or the Jets, which Pat is now a fan of, the Giants, I'm gonna stop saying the Bills, actually. I feel like people get a little bit annoyed. So fuck the Bills. And because we're playing a Monday night, week 1, I'm still. Are you gonna watch that game? Because you did say you're a Jets fan. Fuck yeah.
No, I'm a big Jets fan. Yeah.
I probably will bet on that too. That's the thing with football. I usually do have to bet for me to get invested outside of the Jets, but why not do a little double whammy? Code Yankees Avenue, 15% off. Guys, get yourself something at Foco because when you support them, one, you get some dope ass shit in return. They make great products, and you support us. Keeps the lights on around here. You don't buy something from Foco, good chance these lights go off. Just kidding.
Yeah,
but they do have good stuff, so legit check them out.
Something recurring for us lately is you being like, "Oh, I need shorts. I need shorts. I got you shorts. They're
I don't
coming
have them
in
yet, pal. I don't want to hear it until I have.
No,
the
but I
shorts in my
requested
possession.
them, and I was told, "Oh, we just shipped out the shorts." So
if you actually did that, bro, like you get some points. Like that's cool. Like you're my boy.
I
mean, you are my boy. Like I'm my best friend and all. But if you legit like came through and got me that, like all right, we're cool.
Let's get into topic number 3. Let's talk about kind of the reverse from Carlos Rodon, like a happy, unpathetic human being. Giancarlo Stanton. He hit home run number 400 in his career, becoming the 58th player in baseball history and the 10th to do it in pinstripes. I believe also he's like the fastest. Is that's
games
correct.
wise? Yeah, I think he's technically I believe he's in like the top 4 because Alex A-Rod definitely did it beforehand. I believe.
Regardless, like top 5 fastest.
The game stats are a little bit, even with Judge doing the what did Judge do recently? I think it was maybe 250, and they were like he's the fastest, but it goes by games played. The games played going back to Gary being the first 100. Like it's not that it's skewed. It's pretty obvious what they're saying. It doesn't do anything for me. Is my point.
No, I think it does. Like if you look at it long term, like let's say Stanton was healthy for the majority of his career, that stat just goes to show like if he would have stayed healthy and continued at whatever pace he was on, like we're talking about the greatest home run hitter in
which is why it upsets me more than excites me. Like, oh shit, bro. Like if Judge
I still think it's important.
Fastball to the wrist and had bad luck, he might be at 350 right now. Yeah, no, it's definitely good to mention. I'm just saying it makes me more sad about what could have been. Not the 400 is shabby by any means.
But yeah, still, I think now the 400th home run kind of put everything in perspective for Yankees fans, because I don't know if it's just me, but I saw a lot of narratives change on Twitter after home run number 400. And I think people kind of realized the greatness of Giancarlo Stanton, especially how it's very, very possible that he hits 500 home runs and he's a potential future Hall of Famer, because I'm looking at it. And when it's all said and done, Giancarlo Stanton has how many years left on his Yankee contract? 3,
4 after this season.
4 after
this year, yep.
So when everything's all said and done, I think it's very possible, and we've had this conversation before, that Giancarlo Stanton will end up in Monument Park. He will be a Hall of Famer and go in as a New York Yankee. Obviously, a lot determines on how this next 4 years go. And I know right now it's not trending in the right direction, coming off a pretty down season this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if there's anyone who could turn around, and also let's not forget how young he is still. I think he's 33. He'll be 34 next season. Giancarlo Stanton has the potential to come back next season and pick up right where he left off in 2022. I think he could have a great year next year. I think he could have a great year the year following and finish his career with 500 plus home runs. And especially if the Yankees win a World Series over these next couple of years during this contract, I think Stanton will play a big role just based on what we've seen in postseason past. He loves when the lights are brightest. I think when it's all said and done, Giancarlo Stanton will be remembered as a great New York Yankee. And like I said, obviously a lot depends on how it goes. But if I had to predict right now, I think he goes into Monument Park and I think he goes into Cooperstown wearing a Yankee hat.
I think a lot of it comes down to if he wins a World Series. Now, whether he will get in or not, I think that's in terms of Monument Park, they'll do a for selling tickets purposes. And Stanton will definitely, I mean, he's already pretty well liked. And that was something that was awesome about the 400th homer moment because he's gotten some shit this year, rightfully so. And he's been
Yeah.
hearing probably his most boos since 2018, his first season. But when he hit that homer, it was really nice that the Yankee fans, like every kind of put it aside as a moment, like, okay, like down year hasn't been good, but let's put that aside for this night and recognize this is one of the greatest power hitters of all time. And that's an absolute fact. I think a lot of it will come down to, in terms of, do I think he should be in Monument Park if he wins a World Series? Because in the end, man, we can talk all we want. And this is something legit to celebrate how well he's handled New York, how he's probably handled himself the best out of any like big major star to come to this city, at least in the baseball world. There's something to be said for that. And the playoffs, he's performed. And chances are next time we're in or make a World Series run, he'll be a big part of that. But I think his legacy will in a lot be compared to what happens with Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. Because I was watching actually a video last night, which led to me thinking of this topic. And, we had to celebrate it in some way or talk about it. You look at, and I'll put the graphic on the screen that MLB Network did. Now, this is a couple weeks ago, so it's a little bit outdated, but you look at the comparison in production from Giancarlo Stanton to Bryce Harper to Manny Machado. I feel like if those guys end up winning a World Series and Stanton doesn't, like that's really going to affect his legacy, and it's not his fault whatsoever. It's not going to affect his legacy, rightfully so, because it's the Yankees' fault for not bringing in those guys too. You could have had Stan plus getting Bryce Harper, but if you had to pick between one of the two, because you're not going to get all three, I think every Yankee fan knows in their heart, as much as we like Stanton, we would trade him for Bryce Harper. And
Yeah.
knowing that that's the case, I feel like a lot of people are going to look back at his tenure, unless he wins a World Series. If he wins a World Series, all right, bet we're chilling, as a big disappointment. And it pains me to say because I like him so much, and it's not his fault. It's the Yankees' fault for not allocating money around him properly. But I think his legacy will be compared to those two guys, particularly Bryce Harper. And that's not a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think viewing it from that perspective, like you said, it's not really something that he can do, and it's not his fault. The Yankees easily could have gotten all three if they really wanted to. But I think just looking at it from the perspective of Giancarlo Stanton, with 4 years left on his contract, coming off a terrible season this year, but even in one of the worst seasons of his career, we're looking at a guy who's going to finish the season with 25 home runs, right? He's at 22 right now. I think at the bare minimum, he hits three more this season. So that would leave him at 403 with 4 seasons to go. 500 minus 403, Dan, I'm doing quick math, is 97. 97 divided by four, he would have to hit 25 a season for the next four
He'll get
years
to
at the very
500.
minimum. He's
He'll
going to
definitely
get to
get to
500.
500.
And I think 500 is the number that will like determine, I think in a lot of cases, like it will determine Cooperstown. I think it'll determine how he's viewed, how successful his Yankee tenure is viewed. And I think also what it comes down to is while it's unfair to compare him to Harper and Machado because that's
Right.
not really up to him. I also
Totally.
think it's unfair to compare his success as a Yankee to whether or not they win a World Series over the next 4 years because he can only control so much, right? And if Giancarlo Stanton retired tomorrow, and even I would say unless this 4 years goes really, really bad, um, I will still view his Yankee career as a success. And when someone asks me 10, 20 years from now, like, what was Giancarlo Stanton like as a Yankee? I will only remember that he was the most clutch hitter of this core, of this, 5, 6 year period where he's been a New York Yankee. To whenever the Yankees needed a big hit, he's the guy who wound up at the plate. Every single postseason, it felt like he was one of the few who showed up every single game. And that's how I'll remember Giancarlo Stanton. Unfortunately, it could have been so much more, especially if they could have gotten a Harper, they could have gotten a Machado. Would I have preferred one of those guys if it came down to it? Yeah, probably. But Giancarlo Stanton's the guy we got, and I'm very satisfied with who we got as a player. And I think as of right now, his Yankee career has been a success.
See, man, I hate that I have to disagree, but I really disagree hard on that. Like, I think the Cooperstown, he's in. He gets the 500 home runs in, he's in, and he might get to Monument Park. But I can't let how much I love the guy, and I really, really do love the dude. And a lot of things you said are correct, and not much to the fault of his own. It's been a disappointment. It just has. I mean, you look at what we were getting in Miami, what we thought we were getting from Miami, MVP candidate, a guy with, I mean, you look at the career OPS even. 8 years with the Marlins, 914 OPS, coming off an 8-WAR season. The Yankees, 820 OPS while missing over 40% of their games. I would be lying to myself if I said it's been a success. It just hasn't. And once again, if he wins a World Series, word. Just winning one is hard to come by. But like, man, it just it hasn't been a success. He's had moments, and I do think I buy into a bounce back. Like I think an 800, I think him replicating 2021 is certainly possible, where he had 273, 35 homers, 870 OPS. He was headed for that again last year until he got hurt. I think he can do it next year. I still believe in Giancarlo Stanton, but I think we'd be fooling ourselves if we were to say that we've gotten what we expected, or even really close to what we expected out of Stanton. Because we know, when he's healthy, he's going to be a good hitter for the most part. He's been that way. He's missed a lot of time. And no matter how clutch he is, no matter how well he handles himself, I think we have to acknowledge that it has not gone as planned. Hasn't been horrible. It's not by no means one of the worst contracts of all time. And it can still finish. Like 4 years left is a good while left to, get things right, the ship. But it's been disappointing.
Where you're coming from is fair. Like, it's definitely fair. And I will sit here and say, yeah, I definitely have some pro Stanton bias. Obviously, he's one of my favorite players of all time.
Me too.
So that's obviously why I'll view it as a success. And I some of my favorite moments ever watching the Yankees are because of Giancarlo Stanton. And bro, his grand slam against the Red Sox in 2021 is probably the greatest regular season moment in my history watching the New York Yankees. And like, undeniable.
Got it live.
Bro. Huh?
Got it live. You're live. Were you streaming?
Oh, yes. Yeah, just absolutely insane moments from Stanton. And yeah, bro, I guess we'll see how these next few years go. But at the end of the day, I think one thing that everyone can compliment him on is coming to New York and how he handled every single aspect of it, bro.
Which is huge. You can't short sight that. That is very huge. I'm with you.
Humongous, some would say.
Yes.
And I guess to kind of wrap up this conversation, I'm looking forward to how these next couple years go. And bro, whatever happens, happens. But I like Giancarlo Stanton as a human being. So I'm never going to like rip him to shreds. You know what I mean?
I just let me close this off to myself by saying, I fucking love Giancarlo to death. And if you're watching this dude, you are one of my favorite Yankees. And I had to part of why this conversation to talk like I was talking about a loved one passing was like, I had to remove my bias just a little bit to acknowledge it's just been a disappointment. I know if I, just for me at least, and I can understand where you're coming from makes sense. I'm just talking about my perspective. Like, if I were to say it's a success, I know that would be my Yankee bias bleeding in, or just my Stanton bias, because he's so likable. I don't want to go beat the whole bush again, but he's done everything perfect. And you could tell it really bothers him when they lose. And his performance, his answers are always top-notch perfect. I mean, we know the whole song and dance. He's just been, shout out to you, Giancarlo Stanton, because he's handled himself great. And I hope
another guy.
He needs a nice bounce back. It's annoying too to see the rest of the league, and big part of it because he's a Yankee, but some people are happy to see his downfall. It bothers me.
But that's kind of the thing, right? Because Stanton was in Rodon territory for a while, where he kind of could just do nothing right, all-time bust, bro can't stay on the field, whatever. And he pulled a Garrett Cole, and he showed up when the Yankees needed him the most. And I think because of that, he got a lot of heat off his back. But Stanton and Cole were in that same boat as Rodon, where people were like, yo, dude's a bust.
I don't know if it was Rodon territory, but I know what you mean. The contract was not going into the 2020 playoffs. I mean, shit was fucked. So it
was bad.
Yeah. So 19, he only played the 18 games, then was hurt that playoffs. 20, he gets off to a good start, gets hurt again. Remember, I mean, this was stupid, but there was talk, Jules Sherman, I love you, but there was talk of, don't start Stanton in the playoffs, which really dumb take even at that time. But that's how people were feeling. That postseason saved him. And then, obviously he went off, but 2021 too, 2021 for me is really forget the 20 playoffs. The 2021 season for Stanton was awesome. Not just the fact that he pretty much played a full year, 130.
Well, the Yankees don't make the wild card game without him.
No, of course not. And he was so clutch with the whole way. And it's so fitting that the one game they play in the playoffs, he was just annihilating every fucking pitch. He was 3 for 3 with a homer, almost hit 2 homers. So we love Giancarlo Stanton. The Yankees Avenue Show is very happy to have him as a Yankee, which that's the last thing I'll say on this, actually. I've said it before, but now that the Yankees know what Giancarlo Stanton is, and this isn't a bad thing, it's year 6, don't go into next year with him as your 4 hitter. Like maybe have him bat 6. How nice would it be if Giancarlo Stanton was your fucking 6 hitter,
No,
dude?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Or 5th. I mean, I think it's even better having him
Five
bat
is
5th
okay.
now.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
I
We'll,
wouldn't
we'll,
go
we'll
lower
meet in the
than
middle.
five
We'll meet in
though.
the middle at 5.
I like meeting in
You
the
know what I
middle.
mean, though? Like, no longer should Giancarlo Stanton be your number 4 hitter. He can be at times when he's
He
hot,
can be, but you
but
can't count
that
on
shouldn't
him
be
to
the
be.
expectation. Right. Let's move
Yeah,
on.
and speaking of going into 2024, one guy who I don't know if we could count on being the Yankees 3 hitter is Anthony Rizzo. They shut him down for the rest of the year. You know, the whole concussion thing. That's another thing that kind of is not really talked about too much in the disastrous 2023 Yankees is how the Rizzo situation was handled. How everyone was like, oh, he has a concussion. He has a concussion for about 2 months. And he just played, was the worst hitter in baseball. And then, oh, we found out concussion.
Doesn't bother
So
me, but I hear you.
yeah, it bothers me, but no setbacks. Just running out of time with the season coming to a close. What's your confidence level in Rizzo? Kind of, I don't want to say bouncing back completely in 2024, but at least getting back to a point where he's uh, a threat in the lineup.
I am going to, this is where I will put on my Yankee colored glasses, if you will, just for a bit, because for me, it's simple. What do I want to look at? I want to look at who he was before the concussion, which actually, the last time he was healthy, believe it or not, was my birthday, May 26th. That was the day before he got his concussion.
Weren't we at the game?
Yes. Remember, it was a Padres series. Yes, it was that Friday game
Yes.
against the Padres. It was good to see you that night, Pat.
Wait, that wasn't your
Um,
birthday?
May 26th, 2000. Unless I went on a
That
day that wasn't my
no.
birthday, but
I would have known if that day was your birthday. Maybe it was like the day before.
it may have been. It may have been. But anyways, that series. Here we go. I mean, we all kind of know the deal, but I just want to run through it real quick. Before the concussion, dude was having the best year of his career. 305 hitter, 513 slugging, a 148 WRC plus, which you compare that to what he did in 2022, which was still a damn good year, a 134. So he was outperforming his good 2022 season by quite a bit. I'm not saying he's going to get back to that level, but I'd like to think there's not even somewhere in the middle, but maybe he's like at least 80% of the player we saw the first couple months of this season. He's still a 30 home run bat, I think. And a bat that can hit 20% above league average from the left side. Same deal with Stanton a little bit. Don't be going into next year. And I don't think this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I think Jason is kind of fixated at number 3. Have
I
Rizzo
like
be
that.
your 6th hitter or 7th. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be going in with these guys. The only one I would say of the main like core remaining, say DJ, Stanton, and Rizzo, that I would like to see in the top of the lineup or cool with. I don't mind the idea of DJ leading off again next year with how good he's looked. He continues to just look phenomenal. But as for Rizzo and Stanton, man, like, try to get to a place with this team where they're not the big boppers, just not a supplemental piece, like a core piece of this team, of course. But I don't think you should be going into next year with them batting 3rd and 4th. Have them
I
bat 5th and
agree.
6th.
No,
You
I
know,
agree. And I think that'll be the key for the 2024 Yankees. Bro, there's so many question marks going into next season. Like whether it's like the rotation or the lineup. Like,
the
dude,
lineup's exciting for me, though.
no, it's one of those things where I think it's the same thing coming into this season, right? Where it was the ceiling is really high, but the floor is like, yo, last place team low. And I
Because we're going to
think
play a
it
lot
might
of
be,
rookies. That's, yeah.
yeah, bro, you're playing a lot of rookies, but also like not only rookies, but basically sophomores now at this point. Because don't forget, right now, teams don't really have a great scouting report on guys like Dominguez and Wells. But next season, like they're gonna have something to work with in terms of like how you pitch to them or like what's the best way to get them out. So there's definitely going to be an adjustment period, which we've seen a lot of Yankees struggle with. And I don't know, bro. Like there's just a lot of question marks because you have whether or not the rookies are going to be able to like keep up their performance, especially Dominguez, and if he's going to be your 3 hitter. And then also you have the veterans who are going to be question marks. Like, can DJ carry over what he's done in the second half of the season? Is Rizzo going to be able to like get his brain not mush? By the way, did you see him? He got thrown out the other night. Kind of
Awesome.
funny.
I
Yeah.
love that shit. Like, dude's not even on the active roster and he's getting tossed from the game.
Yeah,
Horrible
but
calls
like,
from Jason.
will Stan come back to earth? Like it's very, very puzzling. And I think obviously guys like Rizzo do play a big piece in whether or not the Yankees will be successful in 2024. And all we could do now is just sit back and wait.
Yeah, and I think there's a very high chance they go in with them being, the 3 and the 4 hitter. But if that's the case, bro, I won't feel sorry for you when your offense bottoms out. Because if like that's a guy you're relying on or like have to rely on, giving yourself no choice to rely on, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And even the idea of Jason batting 3rd next year, that's not ideal. People are kind of really getting on Yankee fans a lot now for still wanting Bellinger because they think he's going to get a bag way more than he's actually worth. He might be getting up towards like closer to 200 now than 100. Like Bellinger may get like 160, 170 in free agency. I don't know what the deal is with that, but bottom line is you do have to address this offense outside the organization in some way.
Yeah.
I haven't
Which
totally
seems
done
like
a full
hasn't
deep dive
really
on the
happened.
offseason. Like the main guy I always go to is Bellinger, I know, or like Heimer Candelario. That probably isn't happening now because you have DJ. But you got to get another bat in here in some way. Like if you had Bellinger, let's just say you had Bellinger, putting him in your 3 spot, and then you say have like Jason 5th and like Rizzo and Stanton 6 and
Yeah,
7.
that's crazy. Well, no,
Fucking
I
awesome.
still think Sam would be your 4 hitter because who's
Sure.
your 4 hitter?
I mean, this Gleyber Torres is like the second best hitter on the Yankees right now. So if you're going to go DJ Judge, in this case, Bellinger, I think right now you just go with who's the better hitter, Gleyber Torres and Carlos Stanton, put him forth. And also that can change very quickly. Like we know the opening day lineup won't be what it is even a month later. But overall, I will say, I think going into next season, there's an excitement around what the lineup could be because a lot of it has to do with the kids. The rotation, though, is like a stress that I have. Like they're both problems or like things you got to figure out. Like, all right, what are we exactly going to do here? The lineup, I have like an exciting curiosity about. The rotation, I'm
I
stressing.
have a hot take.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think the Yankees win a World Series with either Anthony Volpe or Gleyber Torres in the 1 through 4. I think in the ideal Yankees lineup, both of those guys are contributing in the bottom half of the lineup.
Right now,
I
Volpe, yes, I agree with you on that. Volpe is like Volpe in the bottom 3, I think is perfect for now.
yeah.
Especially with how much he strikes out. Glaber, man, on the topic of striking out, because he's cut down those Ks so much, and he's really looked like a crazily improved hitter over a guy who was already playing well. Like second half, Gleyber Torres is a 4 hitter to me, or honestly like a 3 hitter. If like it all comes down to lineup balance too, but no, yeah, I'm interested to see what the lineup looks like next year. I'm cool. Like, Glaber's a big piece for me now. Like, I mean, I've been on the Glaber train for a good while, but in terms of like him being in the heart of the Yankee order, he's a cemented piece of that now. I think with how good he's
Yeah.
been.
And speaking of lineups, this is kind of what I want to transition topic number 5 into.
Yeah,
You don't know what this is, but
no, I don't.
I really want to talk about it because I was watching MLB Network yesterday and they were really breaking it down. The Atlanta Braves, I think, deserve a little bit of recognition from us because I want to just talk about their lineup right now and the insane process that's gone into building the Atlanta Braves and how I know at the end of the year it's usually not like the best constructed team that wins the World Series, the team that gets the hottest, sure,
Mm-hmm.
but they've constructed themselves over the past couple years so greatly to be one of the greatest lineups in Major League Baseball history. I'm pretty sure Michael Harris II is their 9 hitter, and he has like a 780 OPS or
Yeah,
something.
which is like the lowest on their team. It's insane.
It's absolutely insane what they're doing.
Ordering
They have
coffee.
Ronald Acuna Jr. leading off. What'd you say?
I'm just ordering coffee, but I'm listening to
Oh,
what you're saying. It's very
um, but yeah, no, the Braves lineup is something that I've never seen before, and it makes me so frustrated because it's like what the Yankees should have been, right? Taking their homegrown talent like Acuna, Albies, um, Harris, whatever, and then combining it with like the Matt Olsons, the Marcelo Zunas, the Eddie Rosarios, and kind of just culminating like an insane
they built the
lineup of
team.
talent.
They know how to build a
They,
fucking team.
bro, and also kept them like extended for such a long time. And I look back at like I hate that we look back so often, but I feel like it's so deservingly. But you look back at the 2017 Yankees, and it felt like we had that with Judge, Gary, Bird, even Tyler Austin to a certain capacity. Because this, I'm looking at the Braves, and that's everything the Yankees should have been. Like, have you seen the numbers that Ronald Acuna is putting up this season?
No, I know. I mean,
He's
he's probably
having
going to
one of
win
the greatest
MVP,
seasons of all time.
and he's
Bro, he's
getting.
batting 331, 34 home runs, 63 stolen bases.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
part of it is just the fact that, like, I mean, he's a really good player, and for our core, a lot of those guys fell off. Of course, the Braves have gotten crazy. I'll say lucky with the deals they're able to sign. I mean, not even just the obvious in Acuna and Albies, but even the Olsen deal, man. Like they
The
brought him
Murphy
right away,
deal.
and that's what they do too. They bring these guys in right away, extend them. Same this offseason with Sean Murphy, and the Yankees were trying to do that at some point. I mean, you look at 2019. Not only did you have the Hicks extension, which they thought they were being the smartest guy in the room with, which 19-year-old me was happy about. Severino, 4-year, 40 million, kind of the same vibe. And they were also trying to at that time extend Didi was a topic. And I think maybe there was somebody else as well. I remember like the Yankees were trying to use that mold. The problem is that they just ended up not being able to develop these guys or bad luck, whatever it may have you. They're not as well run an organization as the Atlanta Braves, like not even close. And with that said, I have a question for you.
I have an answer for you.
This is either like an obvious or dumbass question. I don't know. Would you get and understand if you don't, like what could lead to? Would you give Jason Dominguez 100 million over 10 years right now?
um,
Not saying he would take that, but if he is, when they're from a country outside the US, that's often what could lead to these sort of things. That's why, the security to the foreign players can often go a long way. So I'm just saying, let's say he would take it. Would you give 100 million over 10 years to Jason Dominguez? Takes him through his age 30 season, 10
okay.
million a year, 10 years. I think I would, Pat. I think I would.
Yeah, I
Because
would.
I look at Jason and you would, now, of course, this could go horrible, but it could also go really well.
No,
I
I
look
don't
at
think it could go horrible.
I think the
Bro,
floor. I think the floor for Jason at the very least could be a player most of the time worth a player $10 million a year. Like 10 million
yes,
is nothing, man.
I
Nothing.
know. And bro,
So
like with inflation, 10 million is only going to keep getting cheaper over 10 years, right?
for
Like,
real, bro, I just paid $10 for a fucking coffee. 10 years ago, it would have been five.
yeah, if you had the Sip Club membership, that would have been free.
You know what? It's not even. It's because I paid through DoorDash. Gregory's
Oh, you
coffee.
have it delivered?
Yeah. Well, I'm so busy. It's Friday and shit.
My name's Dan Rourke. I'm so busy I can't go get coffee.
Hey, you editing this show?
No, I'm not actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm
then
too
go to the
busy
office
getting you
after.
shorts. How about that?
Hey, I ain't fucking dissing you, bro. You're doing me a big solid. Did you answer? Did you say yes or no?
Yes to what?
To Jinx Jason, 10
Oh,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
doing that.
but not in the way like what a dumb question, Dan. It was a good question, right?
No, yeah, there's very few times where I'm like, yo, Dan, that's a no, I don't think there's ever been a question you asked me where I was like, that's a stupid ass
There was
question.
one or two. Okay, no, not in like a rude way, which I appreciate. Because that was in my head as a not an exact question, but something to that ilk. If the Yankees were to have swept the Tigers and Rodon didn't lay a fucking egg, that would have potentially been a similar topic too. But
Yeah.
you say yes, and I say yes. Comments. Let us know down below if you agree. If you would give Jason Dominguez, I might do a poll on YouTube about this. This is an interesting question. Would you give Jason Dominguez right now 100 million over 10 years? Let us know in the comment section below, especially if you got this far. Yo, throw a little fucking. I mean, that question kind of just did it, but give him something to comment, Pat. I like when you were doing that. Like,
Oh, that was good, right?
Yeah.
Comment the the there's
Remember, some
the
people watch on a computer though, so you have to do a word. Not everybody has an emoji
Oh,
ability.
that's true. That's true.
Or you
I
can
like
write
this.
out the emoji if you want.
Okay, no, comment. Just say shorts.
Shorts. I like that. Yo, say
Shorts.
shorts. If you do, you're a real one, and we'll love you forever. By the way, drop a like on this video.
No, we're not ending yet. Okay.
That's fine.
You know what? You know, I think where I got that from. FaZe Banks used to say that on Mom's Basement. He used to be like, because it used to be like a Spotify only podcast. And he used to be like, oh, like since we don't have comments, like tweet me an emoji if you watch the episode. So I think that's where I got it from.
Always an audio only podcast besides like the first 4 or 5 episodes, right? Because I remember they had Lil Xan on, who's doing real well now, by the way. Most random fucking thing for me to ever say. No, not in terms of like popping off, but in terms of health and not being on drugs, Pat.
Oh,
he's sure. Yeah, forgive me that he's not fucking selling platinum records anymore. All right. What's it called?
What's your favorite Lil Xan song?
The only one I know, Betrayed, which is a fire song.
Yeah, I don't know any of them.
And everybody always tells me I need Xanax, bro, but because of that song, I'm not gonna ever get them.
Yeah, Xans. Yeah,
prescription drugs are not good. Socials, where can I find you?
TikTok, Twitter, at Unhinged Patrick, Instagram at True Hennessy, and follow Yankees Avenue on TikTok. Shout out to Alana.
Shout out Alana. Also, yo, drop a like on this video. I feel like I don't say it enough on here. Helps out a lot. Drop a like. May even do a little like green screen, get rid of the green emote of a thumbs up. Click that shit in the beginning of the video.
What? Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dan, I work on Twitter. Dan, I work on Instagram. Yankees Avenue on Instagram. Yankees Avenue here on YouTube. And yeah, yo, good episode today, Pat. We'll see you guys. We got the Brewers coming up for 3 at home. I haven't heard any word about Josh Donaldson, so I don't know if we'll be seeing him or not. So yeah.
Yo, can I say one last thing?
Yeah, of course.
I really like the direction that this show has been trending in lately. Like there was a while where it was like all super like negative and like we were like just really sad about the state of the Yankees. But it feels like the past few episodes now, past few weeks, like vibes have been a lot stronger than they were previously.
Which obviously has to do with like Jason and the kids, but just going into the new year, that goes like, thank God this shit happened, man. Because if we just say closed out the year, with the August team, like how miserable would the offseason be?
Or is it like Stockholm syndrome?
Necessarily, but like, what is that again?
Maybe it's not. I think it's what it's called. I think it's like, let's say you get kidnapped, but then like you start to like the kidnapper. Like you're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like when a dude's like, they always say like when a dude's beating you up, like moan like you like it, and then he'll stop. I don't know.
I've
Hey,
never heard that
we'll
before,
we're gonna
actually.
have a fun off season, I think. And now,
Okay.
bro, it's crazy. We only have what, like, and for the regular season, we have 4 more shows, maybe.
Yeah, and then our culmination episode is gonna be in
We
person. I
trying to get
really
in
wanted to
studio for
try.
that.
Yeah.
Word. Bet we gotta figure out a schedule with that.
Yeah.
All right, yo, shit, good shit. I'll said the S word twice. Sorry, Christina. See you guys next time. Let's go, Yankees.
Her body's gold like September. She burns through the night like an ember. And all those things we try forgetting